Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 180 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I do appreciate you making my podcast one of them. Today, I've got an amazing guest on for you, and she's going to share a little bit of her business journey in the last 6 months. And as you may or may not have noticed by the title of this podcast, it's called, Is Your Business Still Lighting You Up? Or is it time for change? So that might give you a bit of an idea of what the theme is for this podcast, but it's well worth sticking around for and hearing all the stories and the conversation. So I look forward to sharing that with you in a few seconds. But first of all, I just want to let you know that you can find the show notes for this podcast at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/180. And of course, I just wanted to let you know about a conference that I'm emceeing in Sydney. So on the 30th and 31st of March, I'm going to Sydney to a conference called SMB Digital. And there's over 55 speakers over the 2 days, including me. And it's just basically one of the best digital tech solutions type conferences that you will go to. If you go and have a look on their website, which you'll find at all the W's, smb-digital.com.au, you will see the amazing caliber and array of speakers that are going to be there. It's free to attend, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to let you all know that if you are in and around Sydney, or perhaps you are willing to come to Sydney on the 30th and 31st of March, I would really love to see you there. This podcast is actually the podcast sponsor for the event, which I'm super excited about and can't wait to go and attend it. And you know what? If you come, then we might actually get to meet in real life. So if you do go and buy, or not really buy your tickets because they're for free, but if you do go and get a ticket and you come, make sure you come and tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey Jen, I listened to the podcast," or "Hey Jen," just "Hey Jen," we'll be fine. I would really love to see some people in real life after 2 years of no real life. It's going to be an amazing event for small business owners, so please make sure, if it's something that suits you on the 30th and 31st of March, come to Sydney and let's do the SMB Digital Conference together. You will find the link in my show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au, or really just go and find SMB Digital Australia Conference Sydney, Google something like that, and I'm sure it will come up and you can get your ticket there. All right, so on to my wonderful guest this week. She's another marketer, she's another business coach, and she's another rural woman. How amazing is that? It's just like the trifecta in my life. I can't wait to share with you the gold that Tori has. And Tori is the rural business coach. Tori has so much gold in this episode about saying no to opportunities, what that looks like, how to know that the opportunities are right to say no to, because there are so many opportunities out there, and some of them, unless we are going to run ourselves ragged, we really do need to say no to some of them. And Tori actually tells us a really great couple of stories about how she's actually changed her business model up in the last 6 months or so. And it's not that it wasn't profitable. It was more that it just wasn't lighting her up anymore. It wasn't working for her. And as small business owners who work for ourselves, we are in command of that sort of thing. We do get to say what we do and don't want to do, what lights us up. It doesn't always have to come down to money. Yes, we are in business to make money, but at the end of the day, that can't be the only reason why you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a small business owner all unto yourselves. So I won't spoil the conversation too much, but you know how much I love talking marketing to another marketer. And just think Tori has got just, again, so much gold to share with you as another small business owner who has really flipped her thinking and also managed to flip her business model so it works better for her. Anyway, I won't spoil anything again. Here's Tori. Enjoy the conversation. Tori, thank you so much for making time to come and chat with us today. I'm a little bit excited to talk to not only another podcaster, but another rural woman.
I know. I feel like because we live in the country, like we're just our own special breed. So it's so nice to connect with someone else that's also in the country.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like we're just got our own little people, and it's just different. I don't know why it's different. I do love everybody who's in small business, but for some reason, another fellow podcaster and a fellow rural person just has my heart for sure.
Oh.
Tori, for those of you or those of my audience who perhaps haven't come across you before, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and a little bit about your business and yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Texas, so I have a very distorted accent. I've been here about 10 years, 12 years. It's been a while. I still say y'all. I still like to throw some slang, Texas slang around. But I live on our family farm in the wheat belt of WA. I'm a mom. I've got 2 little boys. And I work as a business coach, helping rural and regional women build their businesses across the country. And I absolutely love it. So I like to specialize in kind of marketing, sales, systems. Those are my little sweet spots, I guess.
Yeah. So when you go talk to someone from Texas, do they think you sound like you've got an Australian accent and we just think you've got a Texan accent and don't notice that Australia has entered that?
Yes, they very much think I have an Australian accent, and it is so funny. I'm really proud. My little boy, he says mom. So my 4-year-old, he says mom, like fully Americanized, that one.
Very good, very good. So how did you get into business coaching and things like that? What was the transition into that? Where did you start?
Goodness gracious. So I was working in corporate, and I had a 9 to 5 working for a farm machinery manufacturing. I'd come from oil and gas, Texas. And then I went into farm machinery manufacturing when I met my husband, moved to the farm. I was working in like a general manager role, but I was also overseeing sales and marketing. And what I was realizing was there was this massive niche or gap in the market that turned into my niche, which was marketing agencies serving country Australia. I was dealing with these agencies that were based in metro areas. And when I'd say, it's harvest, like this is our timeline, there was just a big disconnect. And so I started thinking, okay, maybe this is my niche. Maybe this is my calling. So 6-7 years ago, I left my corporate job and I started kind of a marketing agency model. And then as I worked in that model for a while, I started realizing that I wanted to give real holistic support. Like it wasn't just handing over a marketing plan and saying, do these things and you're going to have growth. There were other issues at play that at a surface level kind of marketing as an agency, it wasn't my place to step in and say, let's go deeper. Let's go into your offers. Let's go into your systems. Let's revamp things. It wasn't my place, but it was what I really wanted to do. So I pivoted. I love a pivot. So years ago, I pivoted into business coaching so I could provide that real holistic support. And it wasn't just marketing, but marketing it's a bug that bit me and I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I must admit the bug kind of got me as well. I started my career in law, and then eventually got bitten by the marketing bug. And yes, it's very hard to get rid of. So anyway, we just keep going, don't we? When I asked you if you had come on the podcast, I guess one of the things that would be super interesting to talk about that you suggested was, saying no to things to make room for opportunities and really setting boundaries around, I guess, your business and your business strategy and your business model. So I just thought that was so interesting to sort of watch your journey from afar and to watch, that you've made some pretty big changes in the last 3-4 months or even more, probably behind the scenes?
Yeah, the last 4 months, I really started to examine. So I had a baby 8 months ago, and I think that that naturally just brings about a lot of reflection, and I had time and space to really start thinking like, what do I want my business to look like? What lights me up? What I love going to work for? What is worth me leaving my baby behind to go to work? And I mean, behind, quote unquote, like he's with a nanny a few hours a week, like I'm not leaving him behind, but still, it brings about this like huge amount of reflection. And so that just happened naturally, just at the stage I was in life. But as I kind of started going a bit deeper, I started realizing that what I really wanted in my business was like to make deep, meaningful change, impactful change. And I just started looking at some of the programs I was running, and I was thinking that these aren't making the impact that I want. These aren't doing the things that light me up. And even though they were making money, even though they were profitable, and in terms of like an hourly rate, it made sense. Like, even though it was doing all of these things and on paper, it ticked all the boxes, for me, in my souls, it wasn't ticking the box.
And I love that point that you make. And I think it's just so important. I know when I do my, reflection of, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And, so go through some planning and that sort of thing with my clients. One of the questions is, what is your biggest money maker? And of course, the clients always write that down. And then the next question, of course, is, do you want to do them again? Because just because something makes you money doesn't mean that it lights you up. And that's exactly the wording that you use. Your business wasn't necessarily lighting you up with what was happening. So you were willing to let go of something that perhaps some business owners wouldn't be willing to let go of because it would be profitable, and therefore perhaps that gets in their way of doing what they really want to do or where their passion is really lying. Was that a struggle to come up with that sort of decision, or was it really quite natural in the end?
And no, it was definitely a struggle, because I think like your common sense brain just is gonna keep poking in there and saying, this makes money, this makes money, like, whoa, this makes money, why are you shutting it down? And so it was definitely a struggle for me to actually make the decision and make the jump to close that down. But I decided, okay, if I'm closing that down, let me think about, what opportunities could grow in that kind of vacant space that I leave, and what could grow if I'm doing work that's lighting me up, and what could happen and if that was a new possibility. And so I started trying to focus on the possibility and the opportunities, and not so much on the loss of income, because that's what I really felt like I was losing out on, was that income. Like I had a great community, but it was very surface level. Just a bit of background, it was a membership base, so low cost monthly membership. And it was great. It was profitable. And at the end of the day, it wasn't making that impact that I wanted to. And so I shut it down, but I shut it down focusing on what's next, what opportunities can come in this space that's now there.
Yeah, I probably should have looked up the podcast episode now. I've gone to say this, but I did not look up the podcast episode. So I have a podcast that I did in my first year. So it would be under 50, I guess, whatever the episode is numbered. But it was all about the year of saying yes. So I had a whole year where I said yes to opportunities. I wasn't allowed to say no to things unless, of course, it was dangerous or something like that. But it was like, yes. And that's how I lived my entire year. I think it changed my philosophy forever in business, having that 1 year. And of course, that saw me doing a half marathon, that saw me do a 32-kilometer race, because my friends took advantage of me. And yes, they're still my friends, but maybe they shouldn't be, because, But, and I guess the reverse of that is something that, you have kind of said, when we were talking about this opportunity to come on the podcast, which was saying no to things to open up for new opportunities. So I guess, what does that look like for you? And what can you kind of share with my audience around perhaps saying no to things in order to make opportunities or room for opportunities?
Yeah, so I've had to say no to things a few times. And the first time in business was obviously when I was making the pivot from kind of the agency model into business coaching. And so I was saying, no to things like website builds, things that I would normally hand off to a subcontractor or a team member. And I was just like, no, this is not my business model anymore. So once again, turning down profitable revenue, money, turning it down because it didn't make sense with where I wanted to drive my business and where I was wanting to go. And so and I'll tell you what, within probably 30, 60 days of me making this massive pivot and just drawing a line in the sand and saying, that's not the work I do anymore, I'm pretty sure my revenue doubled like in the next couple of months. Like it was a huge change and it was a huge shift, but it so much growth because I was now doing the work that really lit me up, and I wasn't spending time trying to project manage websites. It wasn't the area that I consider my zone of genius. It was something I was doing just because it made money.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you go about doing this? Is this something that, you sit down and you literally map, start with the end in mind and work backwards from there? Or how do you map out what you want? For anyone who's listening to this and thinks that's good for you, Tori, but how do I come up with that? How do I know what I want, or how do I change my business? Do you have any advice on how they can map something like that out, or how they can get to that point for their own businesses?
Yeah, I definitely am a big fan of like reverse engineering everything. So I start with my big vision, my big goal, my why, like what is the purpose of me being in this business? So I start there and then I kind of start working backwards and, what offers do I see myself delivering to make this big impact? Okay. What are those offers aligned with what I'm currently doing? No. Okay. What offers do need to be aligned? And so I really start with that big vision and the why of why am I in business? And then I start working backwards. And I work backwards, like I think reverse engineering goals are one of my favorite things to do because I like to start my vision and then income goals, and then really just start breaking it down from there. That way it turns into baby steps instead of, oh my gosh, my big vision is taking over the world. It becomes a lot more manageable and bite-sized.
Yes, that taking over the world, it's a bit of a big goal to wake up to every morning, isn't it? We've got to cut it off in bite-sized pieces for sure. I know one of the things that you like to talk about, or you talk to your clients about, is around the whole mindset. So how has that impacted, or how can that in someone's mindset impact perhaps these big changes that they're thinking of? I know there seems to be, in my world of social media and even close friends and, I guess business friends and family, there is this whole almost, well, what do they call it? The resignation revolution. I don't know whether it's exactly that with small business owners, but they really are starting to reflect of what do I actually want out of my life and out of my working career. So how much does mindset impact that? Or perhaps how much has your mindset impacted what you've managed to do in the last few months?
Yeah, so I realized a few years ago that mindset was keeping my business quite small. Like I kind of was thinking, like regional WA is my little corner of the world, and that's the only place I can make an impact. So I think it can really either hold you back or set you free. And so I love to think about mindset as I think mindset can be just a bit of it's this abstract thing. Like, what is mindset? To me, it's just internal personal development. Like we're just working on ourselves, we're working on our brain, we're working on our own thoughts. Like it's just personal development, but on the inside instead of, how you interact with the world and external personal development. So it's just working on what's on the inside. So I like to think that mindset can be a huge gateway to what is possible in your business. And I think that limiting beliefs and things that we don't even know exist can really hold us back. And so, some of my favorite things are like journaling, affirmation cards, creating a vision boards. I love a vision board. And I think that helps so much when we're trying to figure out what is it we're trying to get out of the world? What is the impact that we're trying to make in our business? And it can be really woo-woo, especially for people who love, they love their numbers, they love concrete information, they love facts. And so it can be a bit woo-woo when we're talking about mindset. But I think if you just think about your goals and your impact and how you can achieve them and why you're wanting to achieve them, I think that can make mindset a little bit more palatable to the general public or everyone that likes concrete information.
Yes, absolutely. And I must admit, I struggle a little bit with the whole woo-woo-ness of mindset, although I'm starting to realize there's really not much woo or woo-woo involved in it. But it does, some people do come across, you'll follow people on social media and that's the way they come across, as opposed to perhaps numbers based or, a bit more Jen Donovan based. But yeah, I think that I'm really starting to come around and see, because I'm seeing it in people, I guess, the impact of mindset. It's just literally, it's in your face when you see someone change their mindset and therefore change their life or their business model, just simply from, thinking differently or giving themselves the space to think differently.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, giving yourself space, space to think. And it's great if you do like a kind of monthly or quarterly reflection and you have that. But I like to have almost a daily reflection if possible. That way I can kind of just build into my business this opportunity to let my mind wander and think, what is possible? What could I do? Because I think there's so much freedom if you just think without any limitations and you dream without any limitations. And then that obviously can lead to things like you shutting down profitable things in business. But obviously it allows for future growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to pick up one point there you made about vision boards. So that's something that I would really like to do. So this is probably a very selfish question. But other than getting magazines and cutting pictures out, do you have any ideas or programs or ways to create a vision board these days with modern technology? Do you use a particular program or how do you go about building a vision board?
I mean, you can use Canva, but I go old school. I will print pictures off the internet. I'll grab some affirmation cards. I like to get a little bit creative and get my hands dirty. I'm not an artsy person, but I absolutely I'm not an artist. But I love getting a bit creative. So yeah, at the start of every year, I'll kind of think about what is my word of the year, and I'll get a little bit creative and put something together. And then I also make a digital one in Canva.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I thought you might have had some Fandangle program, but Canva, what can't Canva?
No.
Seriously. Oh dear, Corey, this has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate your honesty and openness about, where you are, the changes that you've made and letting go of things, for sure. I don't think this is something people talk about enough. I think you follow people and all of a sudden you see them change direction and there's no narrative around why they did that or what that looks like. And it doesn't have to be, that's up to everybody. But I do think that it's been a really good conversation to have. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you would like to share with my audience today?
I think if it's just a really great exercise to take the time and actually look at all of the offers and everything you've built in your business and just ask the question, if, does this light me up? Do I love doing this? And if it doesn't, then don't be afraid to say no and start dreaming about more possibilities, because you're only limited by your own imagination. So if you have to say no to let something else grow in that vacant space, then don't be afraid of it.
And I guess it doesn't have to be an immediate no. If something's not lighting you up, there is, your opportunity is to work with it until you find, the next path or until you can start implementing something else, for sure. So no doesn't have to be definite and now it can be something you can work on. But yeah, great advice. Thank you so much. If people want to get in contact, I know you have a podcast as well, so make sure you tell us what your podcast is. But if people want to get in touch, where's the best place for them to touch base with you?
I love Instagram. It's my second home, and you can find me there at Tori.Kopke, Tori.Kopke. And then my podcast is Big Ideas Rural with Tori Kopke. And yeah, those are probably the two best places to find me.
Beautiful. Excellent. I will have those in the show notes for sure. Thank you so much again, Tori, for chatting with this. And look forward to catching up again really soon.
Thank you so much, Jen.
I loved Tori's story about changing her business to suit her life. And even though it was profitable the way it was, it just wasn't for her anymore. And I think so many of us small business owners, we simply keep hanging on to things because they make us money, and perhaps end up resenting both the thing and people possibly associated with that thing because we don't believe in ourselves enough. We don't believe if we say, no, it's time for a change, I can make the next thing work. We don't believe enough in that. And we think, no, this is working. We just need to hang on to this. What if I change? And what if no one buys? And what if I've got the market wrong? When really we just need to practice a bit of self-belief and go, you know what? The next thing will work too. I know it will because I believe in myself. So I really thank Tori for her openness and honestness. Honestness? Is that a question? Her honesty, I think, is that really a question? Man, I am confused. Her honesty for within the conversation that we've been having. If you'd like to chat about your business model and how things might be impacting you, or if it's time for you to do a bit of a change and you just need someone to run some ideas past, then hey, reach out. You can email me at jen@jendonovan.com.au or DM me and let's have a chat. But that's it for another podcast episode of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. We can continue the conversation in my like-minded business owners Facebook group. If you're not already a member, then head over there and join, because I'm really excited in 2022. I've upped my game inside my Facebook group and I have some amazing guests coming in to do some lives in there with me this year. I'm really excited that these absolute experts of their field are giving up their time to come and have a bit of a chat with me, but also you get to ask them live questions, a Q&A at the end with whatever their subject, whatever their expertise is. I have people in finance, I have people in PR, other marketing experts beside myself, law experts. There's really like a whole wealth of people that are coming over the next few months, or really over the year, to come and have a bit of a chat to you. So go into the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group, check out the upcoming events and watch out because I will be changing them as more people book. So yeah, and just put it in your diary so you get to come along. Another reason to join my amazing community. Before I leave, just another reminder to say that the show notes can be found at socialmediamarketing.com.au/180. Don't forget to come and buy your free ticket or get your free ticket to come along to the conference in Sydney. But otherwise, I will see you next week on the podcast for episode 181. But in the meantime, if we aren't friends on social, let's get social on social. You can DM me or you can join me on Instagram, Facebook, or of course, LinkedIn. But whatever you do, remember my small business peeps. As my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.